bitch don't kill my vibe. I feel like everything really is simple, but we do complexify everything within our life. We do turn things into what they don't need to be. We place ourselves into boxes. We limit ourselves. We restrict ourselves because we cling to these things. We attach to everything within our life without allowing ourselves to flow. The simple ways that everything are operated in pride and ego is the simple ways that we simply destroy our life. The ways that we may perpetuate our own suffering. And it's crazy because once you have that peace of mind, once you have that knowing of self, nothing could compare, nothing can come in and try to make itself do what you want to do unless you allow it to. It's all about the infinite capacity you allow yourself to flow through. The different expressions you allow to flow through you, but not holding on to it or straining it because it's just an expression of you. It's not the full entirety of yourself, and not placing it on a pedestal because it is just one fragment of yourself. We are multidimensional. We have different expressions of ourself. We go through different phases, different cycles, and different versions of ourselves, and we never end up the same. Even if a day passed, we're not the same as we were yesterday. And I think it's more so about protecting our boundaries, placing boundaries, not for us to not be seen, but to protect our soul. Not out of the safety, but the only safety being in staying in our truth, staying in our authenticity, and navigating life through our authenticity, being our compass with love. Life is our greatest teacher, but before life can be our greatest teacher, we have to acknowledge us as being a student and acknowledging ourselves as our own teacher first. We can only be taught if we allow ourselves to sit down, we allow ourselves to receive, and that's where the feminine and masculine aspects of ourselves really thrive. Through flow, through action, through alignment, and through love. Everything comes back to love. Everything is a reflection of love, whether it be on the lowest frequency of love or the highest frequency. It's all a reflection of love, whether it be the misalignment of love or whether it be the greatest expression that you can possibly get out of love. But everything stems from love. So when you stop taking things from an attack and thinking that it's happening to you, when it's happening through you from love and the projection you are outputting to yourselves, it makes it even more beautiful because it's just refining yourself. It's sparring with your intellectual mindset, sparring with all of these perspectives you have accumulated through different experiences within life and allowing them to be free, not necessarily being right about something, and not thinking it's either right or wrong, but understanding it's a perspective I may have developed from one of my experiences, but that doesn't make me right at all, And like I said, pride and ego shows up in a lot of small ways in our life, from over explaining ourselves because we feel like we have to be validated by another person. It's just the small things that everything shows up, the mundane. The simple things that you think have no effect are the most important moments within life, the moments of stillness. And I could say I'm still working through stillness because, it's so easily to be able to get distracted, but when you move with love, it's all about presence, being present. Like me just creating this for myself as an expression, but not holding on to like the specific fact that I'm making a video is beautiful because I wouldn't say I'm a YouTuber or whatever. I'm just doing me. And that's the beauty of life. Not holding on to a specific title or identity, but just being you and not searching for the results by you being yourself, but just simply loving yourself by being yourself. Having an unconditional love for your vibe, for who you are, for your being, because who you are will never be replicated. Confirmation. Who you are will never be replicated. You know, knowing that you are one of none. Like, even if you try to reincarnate into another life, you couldn't even be this version of yourself anymore. You know, you wake up another day, you can't be this version of yourself. This is only your moment to be who you came here to be. And I find that beautiful because, it just makes presence even more important. And pride and ego is not something that's bad or something that's we should look down upon. It's a call for us to engage with more presence and intentionality within our life, to engage within every small moment within our life, to listen to our intuition, to be guided by everything that we are doing within our life. And also knowing to when to take action and when to flow. Sometimes we can overwork ourselves with the grind, thinking we have to be consistent, we have to do this over and over, we have to live a certain lifestyle this way, but it's all about your mindset. It's all about your mindset. It's the way you approach these things within your life and the way you can benefit from just being you. And it's a process of trial and error, but it's not really an error, it's refinement, like I said. It's like chipping away at silver or gold. You have to get it to where it needs to be perfect. But nothing is ever perfect. But as long as you trying to be the best version of yourself, when it's not really even about being the best version of yourself, it's about knowing you're the best version of yourself you can be right now and embodying it. Loving yourself because you are this best version of yourself, and not because of your talents, not even because of your gifts or what you can do within this moment, not because of your achievements, because you deserve to be loved, because you are who you are. No one else is going to be who you are, and just by you being, it's the blessing to be that you deserve everything you need to receive within life. And within these periods, within these seasons of flow within our life, within these seasons of receiving within our life, is important that we don't take it for granted. We can place our creation seasons on a pedestal, but where would we be without the other aspects within our life? And I like to say that the best way to know each other is through our creations, but the best way to know each other is also through what we do within the simple moments of our life. Within our internal thoughts with ourselves, with how we love ourselves. And that's the way we can only love others. Through how we curated a universe within this world for ourselves, how we curated a reality with the thoughts that we actively embark on each and every day. It's as simple as that. Your thoughts are only a reflection of something that's subconsciously lingering within yourself. And once you consciously bring that to the surface, you're able to identify how I can bring this into reality. It's like me and a scientist, you taking little pieces of data and you implementing it into something that is alive, not an inanimate object, but something that is alive, which is your soul. You're bringing fragments of your soul into your reality. That's why it's fueling your expressions and your creations. And sometimes you don't really need to do much within your life. Sometimes you don't need to do anything at all, but just be. And that's the most beautiful thing you can do. Just be. Like, I'll be creating, I'll be thinking, damn, I just created something nice, but it takes a lot for me to go back to these creations because I'm not in a frequency match of who I was in these creations, and only when I'm in resonance or when I fully integrate this lesson within myself is when I can express it. So that's how I'm able to create this. But I'm still in the process of doing it, Everything is a process, everything is a journey, and I see the beauty within it all. You know, you can't express something if you haven't done it yourself. So start doing the internal work, you know. Start doing the internal work and understand that your vibe is your vibe. Once you place the boundaries on your vibe, can't nobody mess with you. Like, for real. Like, it don't matter what other people may think, because other people are just a distorted, fragmented reflection of who you are. You know, they don't have the same perspectives. They don't even have the same experiences of you, but they're a reflection of your consciousness and of your awareness that you are projecting onto your life. You know, so you may have other people say some things to you because maybe you need to grow from this. Maybe you need to develop the continuity on your journey, because this journey is ontological. You know, there is no end, even after what you would call death, or maybe the process of being born. We're always being born again every day, every second, every moment that we shift our awareness onto this reality. There is more life to be experienced. And, you know, who's even to say that we are experiencing life? You know, it's a bunch of paradoxes within this life, and living the human experience is paradoxical, but it's beauty within the contradictions of who we call ourselves to be. You know, who we allow our pride to engulf in, what we allow our ego to take hold of, and how we come back to ourselves through love, how we connect with our inner child through the memories, through the experiences, through who we call us. You know, at the end of the day, at the end of the night, when you go to sleep, you have that small moment of stillness where you sit with your soul. And maybe you get the most intuitive downloads at that moment. You know, maybe you just sit in gratitude. But it's all about slowing down. And I think we need more slowness within our day, because we're always moving so fast. We're always moving on to the next things. But how can we allow everything to marinate within our life? You know, how can we allow everything to just sort of surprise us? You know, not living the same cycles of life each and every day, but understanding that we can live a new life each and every day. You know, it doesn't have to be the same experience. We can dress differently. We can talk differently. We can flow differently. Word. Hey, it's different aspects of life that we have to branch into, that we can't just stay in one specific subject just because we know it, just because it's familiar, because it's the illusion of safety and comfortability that's keeping us in these same cycles. You know, it's the illusion of thinking that this is all that we can experience in life. This is all that we got, when it's not all that we need. It's not all that we need to get to the best version of ourselves, to accomplish our dreams, and to get to the highest level that we see for ourselves. This is what we have accepted within our life because of the safety, the illusion of safety, because nothing is truly safe unless you are operating in your true authenticity. The truth is the only safe ground you are able to operate on. Everything else is an illusion, because it's not real. And what is even real? What we can see? No, it's so much deeper than that. It's your soul truth. It's what you know to be true in your soul. It's what you know to be true within yourself, and that you express to this world, even if it can't be digested by certain people. You know, it can't be digested by certain people, because you're gonna find the people it needs to be loved by, who's gonna grow with you, who's gonna grow this perspective, who's gonna allow you to grow with them. You know, it's build connections, build partnerships where it's constructed with love, a foundation of love, a stable foundation where it's not pride and ego, it's not disrespect or something below yourself that you wouldn't even accept. So everything is the basis of love, and everything is the basis of what we allow for ourselves, how we connect with ourselves, our peace, and our authenticity. Word. Word. That's all I really have to say. I just want to say thank you, whoever sees this video. Thank you for watching. I love you, and peace. And always remember that just by you being is more than enough. And keep doing you. Word. Peace.